This video will cover the process of bringing a new tag into ENVision into a process value. The first step is to create the process value. This is done through the configuration section with the process values. From there, you add a new one. Some systems use the label as the external tag within the historian, and I'm going to use that convention. Equipment description is optional. Assigning it a unit is optional, but highly encouraged. For process values, we're going to leave the order as 1. It's external coming in from another system. So you want it to be processed first. If you want the system to start processing immediately when data starts coming in, you set it active and click Save. At this point, it will be changed to alphabetical order. So I went to the first page and now it's at the top of the list. Next step is to create an aggregate. We're going to add an aggregate. Typically, most systems have a snapshot, which is all the values during a specific time period. The time period does not matter. It's here simply to give you an indication of how fast the values are coming in from the data historian or from the DCS. We're going to pick 1 minute snap. You then set your engineering units. I'm going to set it to be 1 BTU. If it's no time units, then you leave the time as none. In this case, we're going to say hour. You set the last value time to roughly when the data will start coming in. It needs to be slightly earlier than the data, than when you start pulling data. You set the significant digits, which is how many decimal places for reporting. In this case, it's an external value. So coming in from the historian, the tag may or may not auto-populate. In this case, you want the tag to be the historian tag, so you manually type in the new tag. You click Save. If you want to add additional averages on top of this, it's fine to do so at this time. So I'll just add a 15-minute average. Again, the engineering units pick up from the previous aggregate. The data tag typically it will assign a data tag automatically. It's fine to use this suggested one. The source aggregate will be a 1 minute. Now, just for this purposes, I'll create an hourly average on top. This 1 hour averages can be based on either the 1 minute snap or 15-minute average. I'm going to base the 1 hour average off the 15-minute average values. Click on Save. At this point, the process value is configured with the data tag, but that finishes step 1. The next step is to go to DataSync. If you're on the new system, DataSync is available at the bottom of the site list. If you're in the legacy system, then DataSync is a separate website. Typically, this is the address of the DataSync website, ENVision DS website. Opening that website brings you to the configuration, IO point configuration. Creating a new point is a multi-step process in DataSync. The first step is to create the tags. So you select the eCatchup tags or DataSync tags. I'm going to add one. Now we need to pick the server that this tag will be assigned to. So in this case, we're going to be IP21, which is our historian. Come back here, get the tag, create a tag, and save it. In this case, that creates the record and says it is within found in IP21. We need to add the same tag for ENVision, or eSIMs in this case, as it was previously called. So we pick the server, and then we create the same corresponding tag in there and save it. At this point, the records are in the DataSync database, but you have not configured the mapping. The second step is to go to the mapping, and we're going to add a new mapping. In this case, we are going from we're reading from IP21, and so the source you can leave as star. That's just to find the existing tags, and so we I believe we called it 101. You can use wildcards to search and find it. So there it shows that we have this IP21 tag server. On the IP21 server, we have PI 101. So I select that. Then I go to the next field. Then I write filter. Now I have the filter. So now that is saying I am going to read from IP21 and write to eSIMs. It's possible. Some systems write, you can write tags from eSIMs back to IP21 for operators. In that case, the source would be eSIMs and the destination of target would be IP21. You pick the IO group. For this case, we're going to use 1 minute. Then you set the starting, read, and write time. You set those to be the same time. So we'll say today's date, beginning of the month. Typically set the read and write time the same. When you're starting out, you enable the mapping, and then you hit save. At this point, the next time ENVision activates, the DataSync activates, it will try to read that data. You can refresh it a couple times to see, and the last read and write, if everything is configured correctly, the last read and write time should update. And if you go to the aggregate type, if it's processing, and once the calc engine cycles, you should see the last value time start to update. If the times are updating in DataSync, but not in ENVision, then it could indicate other problems, but that's beyond the scope of this introductory video. This concludes the video.